This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Long Run Show, not so live stream and podcast brought to you by the 40 Runs running community and our generous sponsors, Skechers. My name's Ian Wilson. This is our last show before Christmas. Hence, if you're watching the thing, I've got my hat on. Hayden's got his, the others didn't bother. And we will be talking about the year 2022 and the good things that happened, the bad things that happened, the things we've learned and the things that we wish we hadn't done. So all our running experiences, we're going to talk about them, and the whole gang is here again. Everybody, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, big boy.
Merry Christmas.
Wow, here we are. So
I've got a confession to make before we start.
this is Chris Ford, everybody.
Good evening and welcome, everybody. I'm going to say it now because by the time this comes out, I'll be out of the doghouse. So if I say it quietly, because you might hear. Last night, you know the what are those things the kids get? The calendars.
Advent calendars.
Advent calendars. I opened it, pulled the tray out, emptied them all, right? Ate all of them, put it back in and sellotaped it. Is that bad?
Yes, absolutely horrific.
Yeah, I did that last night. She ain't got no idea. It's going to be brilliant when she goes to open it.
Such a kid.
Who did you do that to?
What?
Whose did you do that to?
I saw it in the lounge and he was just talking to me. So I did it.
This sounds like it could be the final straw for you ending up below the patio.
I might just go in that hole. But no, it was really good. But the thing is, you should have found out by now because this is 2 weeks' time from when we're filming this. So tune in next week if it's live. Though we're doing a live one between then, whether I'm still alive.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to keep.
This could be a posthumous postcast.
That's what I'm saying to you. That's why I thought I'd let you know front end because I might not be here. But anyway, I thought that'd be a bit of a fun thing to do.
It's lovely to see everybody. Anyway, how are you, Al? You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to Christmas. It'll just be my last few days of training before heading off to do my first marathon of 2023.
Gosh.
What? Yeah, I'm going early in 2023. I'm taking a leaf out of Toby's books and not training and just turning up and seeing if I can just do it. So, yeah.
And what's the race, mate? What are you up to?
Well, it's not so much the race, it's the weekend. I have to start with a 5K on the Thursday, chuck in a little 10K on the Friday, half marathon Saturday, and then finish with marathon on the Sunday, all round Disney World. So, yeah, I'm packed and ready to go. I can't wait. I just haven't trained. So, Toby, you'll be thinking of me, I'm sure, because I'll be thinking of you.
Toby, have you got any advice for Al that he's going to embark on this mammoth task, having not done much or any training?
No, I think it's enjoyable. First of all, I was wondering if that weekend was sponsored by Craig David for a minute there. The way you were going on.
I think that could be the funniest thing he's ever said. Was it the only thing he's ever said?
Christmas, and Toby has finally brought some value to the podcast in 2022.
365 days, he's cracked a joke.
The last one.
But yeah, I think you should enjoy it, Al, you know. It's all you can
do.
Believe in yourself.
The outfits are ready to go. Yeah, it's all about the outfits, apparently. It's not about pace and distance and time. It's all about the outfits.
Exactly. Smash it.
And how are you, Sabrina? You all right? You all geared up for the festive season? I expect you're very organised.
This is so bad. I haven't even put a tree up yet. I know tomorrow. I've been so sick that I haven't even. There's no tree. I saw you two in your hats and thought, I don't even know where a bit of tinsel is.
Ugh.
I know, bar humbug.
You've
I promise.
Let me down, mate. I thought you'd be all over this. I thought that you'd have had at least 2 or 3 emails from certain members of the 40 Runs running community saying, I need to get X something for Christmas. Any ideas? Can you get it for me? Any of that sort of stuff. I thought they'd been leaning on you a bit.
I mean, I'm sure come the 23rd of December, that will come, won't it? When Toby goes, I haven't got anyone a present.
It's a bit early at the moment.
Yeah. When he's
What am I
asking
getting-
you, do you know where the late night garages are on the sort of Hertfordshire Essex border?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Chris will be going as Toby got me a present, am I on Toby's list? And Toby will going, I'm not getting Chris a present. So
I might do, but it might involve 2 wheels.
Yeah, you might get sort of like some wiper blades or some antifreeze or something.
The thing is, I give Toby gifts throughout the year, and it's the gift that keeps giving, and it's with me. And he has this gift every weekend when he chooses to run with us, and he's not tapering. And it's just a beautiful thing that I partake upon him every weekend.
It doesn't come with a receipt, so you can't get an exchange or a refund.
It's a gift card. It's a gift receipt. It's there every time he goes for a run. It's brilliant. He loves it. Absolutely.
That's great. And
loves it.
Hayden's here too. Now, Hayden, a couple of weeks ago, you said that you'd like a new knee for Christmas. Have you had any sort of like knee shirt shaped sort of packages come from a van with Amazon written on it or anything like that?
I haven't, mate. I've been Googling it and having a look around. They're expensive. So I think I might have to swerve that and just be a bit more realistic.
Just
Hopefully
cowboy out.
one
You
day.
know, you got to play the long game. Why don't you just knock one of these worldwide marathons on the head that you've been doing? You know, invest
because
instead
it will
in
make
your
a
own
few.
leg.
No, but Wilco, he's got to do them because it'll make a really good bonus episode when he's done them all. That's the only reason that we're pushing him into it, is because it's going to make an incredible podcast. The man who's managed to do all 6 majors with a dodgy knee at the age of 72. It's going to be incredible.
I'll be on crutches while I'm doing the podcast. That'd be great.
Oh, it'll be great.
Looking
It'd be
forward to
worth it
that
though, mate. Think of the viewing figures. We're already smashing it in China and India. They're the 2 most populous countries in the world.
Huge.
And we're top 10 in both.
We're
Think
massive.
of all them listeners. Can't wait to hear all about your experiences of running all 6 majors.
I'll take one for the team. I'll
Good
go
boy.
for it.
What a
Good boy.
leg. Excellent. So, yeah, well, we've only got a week left of 2022.
So this is
I'll
kind of
ask you
looking back,
first.
is it, Wilco?
Sorry?
Is this looking back, this one?
Yeah.
And we're going to do a look forward one as well, or what we got to do?
We'll look forward to eventually when we get round to it. You know, it might be sort of like the middle of February, but we'll get there.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be all sorted. But this is the looking back one. So what I
Right.
would like you to do, all 5 of you, is to give your 2022 a mark out of 10 from your own running, starting with Toby.
Worst person. He's not done any running.
Oh, you
Done a
started
bit
at
of
the
walking.
lower
one
end.
out of the way, and then maybe we'll get a bit of momentum
okay.
when I
Start
get
low.
round to
I
Hayden.
like it.
But you see, I'm debating this really. I'm in 2 minds here.
No.
Go on then.
Because for my running, probably around a 2.
Yeah.
That's high score.
But for achievement, probably about a 9.
What
Right.
on what? What was the achievement?
Well, there's no point in telling you because you'll say that the course is short. And
No, because you got an email from the. Did you or did you not get an email from the organisers?
I've not had an email from the organiser. No,
Who did you get an email from?
I can't say it politely at the moment.
Now, shall we elaborate on this story? Now, we're talking about Amsterdam, are we?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I happened to get an email about a week afterwards with apparently there was a timing issue and the course was short, so my time wasn't the official time. Apparently, it wasn't correct. Well, I have spoken to a few people and nobody else seemed to get this email. And it was a very
And did you sort of like detect sort of like the computer where this might have been sent from, and it might have been in the sort of like Broxbourne area?
I didn't go into that much detail because I couldn't be bothered. But it came from a very official looking Gmail account. That's all I can say.
It was short. It's no denying it. It was official.
So
We all know.
what you're saying is, so you're giving the way your actual running went, you're giving it a 9, but for the experience, it was only a 2. So elaborate on that.
Yeah, so we could kind of look at it. When you're at school and you got gradings, I suppose. So I'd
Didn't go
say
to school.
like A, I passed, but when you go to the effort, probably a 3. So I can get an A3. I don't know if anyone could ever get that at school. I'm not sure.
Well, as a 60% runner, I'm seeing that with a great deal of envy, thinking, yeah, well, that's absolutely fantastic. You've achieved these aims with a minimum of effort.
Exactly. I think so.
In fact,
Yeah.
I'll take my hat off to you.
Can I mark him? Can I mark him as his head teacher? Can I mark him, Wilco?
Well, yeah, go on then.
I'm going to mark everyone tonight. This is I'm decided.
Okay. Well, we'll wait until the end. You can mark everybody when we've been through the whole field.
Oh yeah, but I would have forgotten. You've got to remember I have ADHD and I would have forgotten.
I can't be responsible for your own mental incapacity.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Okay.
0.
So, Sabrina, what about you? What have you been up to in 2022?
It's funny actually because I was thinking about this.
Yeah, remember she was only doing one marathon.
I've PB'd at 5K, 10K, half, and marathon this year. So when you put it like that, I mean, when I look back and go, and people think it's funny, I'm a qualified coach. I still get Chris to do my coaching stuff, right? And I have a conversation every few months and go, right, where's my plan and what we're going to do? And I look back and go, the bit that I didn't achieve, which still infuriates me, is that sub 2, and it just didn't happen, right?
Sub 2 half.
You ran 2 dead. You ran 2
pretty much,
0.
Yeah. And so you take that, like, regardless, right? Whatever. I've had a good year, let's be honest, considering, like I said, I do one marathon. 3 years ago, I couldn't run 100 meters. I'll give myself a 7.5.
Good coach. I would say it's the coaching.
Do you? Yeah. So, what percentage of credit you take for this, Chris?
Oh, 100%. Natch.
That's nice, isn't it? Who needs
Why
friends,
wouldn't
eh? Al, what about you? I mean, it's been a mixed year, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I was going to say, it depends on what day of the week you're asking me this. If it's a Sunday, I'm scoring myself probably a 6 because it has been pretty inconsistent. I've had some great experiences, but it's not always gone according to plan. If I'm rating it on Saturday runs, it's 9.5 going on 10 because of park runs. So it's just a completely different experience. And at the start of the year, I'd only ever run park run kind of locally. I've just now topped 6 countries and counting. So park run literally has taken me all over the world this year. So for that, it's got to be a 10 out of 10 on a Saturday. Just don't ask me on a Sunday.
Yeah, because I mean, you've had a couple of people who follow the 40 runs running community and things like that on Facebook. They'll probably be aware that you've had a couple of disappointing races this year on your Sundays.
Yeah, you got to learn from it, haven't you? 4 marathons, 2 in spring, 2 in autumn. Probably didn't rest enough coming into the autumn block, and therefore was kind of chasing my tail a little bit. Certainly after finishing London with an injury, I should have taken more time off. I perhaps should have dropped down to the half for Amsterdam and just gone for the experience. But I didn't. I tried to push it, and I've paid the penalty in terms of haven't really been able to run consistently since then. So still coming back from injury. So you learn from that experience, and you try different things for 2023. That's going to be the message.
But how would so the Saturday experiences, your park run and all that's helped you cope with those disappointments?
I think it has, because it sounds bizarre, but actually I look forward to the alarm going off at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning, because I know it's taking me somewhere new. As I said, we've been to literally half a dozen different countries to the park run, but more importantly, it's about meeting the people, and we've managed to recruit new FORDY'S on the back of it. It goes back to February, and I think Sabrina was there when we did Valentine's Park on Valentine's Day. Suddenly, Tony and Lloyd, they're going to be running a satellite club for us come the end of the year. And that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't decided to go on a bit of park run tourism. And there's other people we've met along the way and brought into the FORDY community just on the back of chatting in that funnel with your tokens, sharing experiences. So from that point of view, it's been a fabulous year. Can't knock it at all. It's actually going to be quite hard to replicate in terms of what next from a park run challenge point of view.
It's great to hear that you've had so many you had so many positives, as well as the high profile issues that you've had with some of your big races and all that. Chris, it's so much more than just times and achievements in that respect, isn't it, when you look back on a year and you look at the good things that have happened?
Yeah, I think I think it's much more than times and all this sort of stuff. This is not what we necessarily believe in 40 runs. It's in times important if they're important to you, and it's how you gauge your own progression as a human being, as a person, and what validates that for you, whether it is times, whether it's distance, whether it's just getting out the front door because you've been stuck in, because your mental health has closed your life down, and you've been able to lace up and go out the door and do something. So yeah, it all depends how you define success to you, really, I would say.
And what about your year, mate? How would you mark it?
Running or
bigger? However you wish.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, I can talk about both, but I think you're better off talking to Hayden before me, because I will waste hours talking about it. So ask Hayden, because I think Hayden's had a very good year despite his age and his knee.
Is he right?
It's a bit like what Toby said. It's whether you're going to judge it on your experience this year or your performance. And mine predominantly has been brilliant. Experience-wise, absolutely 10 out of 10. I could not have had a better year experience-wise. 3 marathons, loads of other events, all the big events we've been to. Great North. For me, out of all of them, that meet-up at the Great North that morning outside the gates, when we just took over that whole area, and everyone was just looking at. Honestly, that feeling that day walking up to the start line, that's a special memories like that. Been brilliant this year. Performance, yeah, same as Sabrina. I PB 10K, 5 and full marathon this year. So I've got to look at the positives for that. The only downside, and it works in reverse to what Chris said about it depends if you're focusing on times and things. Yeah, I've run a few good times at a marathon. In Chicago, my time was decent, but I was disappointed in my performance. Really disappointed in my performance. I love the event, loved everything about it, but there's something that I just won't be able to get out of me that I wasn't happy about it in Chicago. I didn't perform, and it wasn't about time. It's the way I felt towards the end of the race, and realizing it's the first race ever where I've had nothing left in my legs. 20 miles, and I didn't hit the wall. Mentally, absolutely fine. Just my legs were just nothing, and they were knackered. And yeah, that was on the back of Berlin 2 weeks before. There's loads of reasons why, and it wasn't a failure on my behalf, but I don't feel good about it. And
it's been a funny year, isn't it, for many people, because they've been sort of squaring the year off in the post-COVID world, haven't they? Lots of people have been doing events that were deferred, and I'm sure Al touched upon the issue he had at London, and then going on to Amsterdam, and you're talking about the short break between Berlin and Chicago. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't run 2 marathons in a fortnight, would you?
No, but this was something I was talking about this recently with somebody a few years ago. First of all, we didn't really hear about many of us everyday runners running these marathons abroad or these massive races, let alone people used to say a few years ago, I've got a marathon 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks apart. People would look at you like you have got 2 heads. Nowadays, it's like a regular question on the group. People say, I've got 2 marathons in 2 weeks, any advice? And people are like, yeah, if I was you, you'd do this, do that. It's almost like it's not that unheard of now. It's, as you said, everyone's expectations have got more. And I think maybe you're right, because of COVID and all the races being pushed back and pushed on top of you, you've just cracked them out and got on with them. What do
you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely on to it. I think it's a legacy of pandemic. So people have had so much deferrals, and we've had to clear effectively the backlog. And it's the same for me in 2023. I'm going to still be doing London from 2020 or whatever I was meant to do it, or wherever it is. You still got some deferrals out there. Now, we spoke about it the other week on about the ballot, and I think Berlin. The reason not many people going to Berlin because there's still so many deferrals out there. So I think a lot of it is that, as you say, the back-to-back stuff that you would never have heard of. I do think a lot of it is down to the fact if you've got prominent figures in the community, just the guys here alone who will go out and do these things, and it inspires other people to do it as well. So I think there's a lot of that as well, showing, almost leading the way and saying, I'm doing it. Why not you do it? And people say, you know what? That's not a bad idea. So I think there's a lot of that as well to show that everyday runners are able to do this. We're not saying it's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do, but again, it's that we're showing the way for everyday runners that what's the possibilities you can and you can't do out there. So no, I think it's good. What about you, Wilco? How would you rate yourself out? Don't give yourself 6 because it's 60%.
No, I wouldn't. No, I think I'd go higher than that. I'd go for about a 7 because I didn't particularly I didn't smash it with regard to my times or anything like that. I didn't get any PBs this year, but then it didn't really. That's not bothered me. I've managed to do 2 marathons, which which would have been inconceivable. Moving on from doing 1 in a year to doing 2 in a year. I've been pleased with, and I've been pleased with the way that I've adapted to life under a marathon training plan and how I find that I've found myself within the structure of all that. I think it's been a big learning process. It's been really good. So I've had some great experiences as well. I did the 2 marathons that were quite different. We went to Edinburgh, and there were a lot of FORDY'S there, and Sabrina was there too. Well, everyone here apart from Al was there, weren't they? So there were lots of people there I knew, and that was the sort of thing. But then I went to Dublin. I was on my own. I didn't know anybody, and that was a great experience as well. So doing all these different things, it's been enlightening, and I've enjoyed it, and I've got a lot out of it.
How would you rate out of 10 your pre-race fueling? So just to run everybody through, it's usually, several meals, fish and chips, Italian, ice cream, beers, crisps in the room. I mean, how would you rate your pre-race fueling out of 10, Wilco?
Well, in the first 11 months of the year, I would suggest that it was been pretty majestic, really. I couldn't have ate any more than I could possibly manage.
Yeah.
But, it's, in all seriousness, I've woken up a little bit about that and thought, how can I improve? What little changes can I make to, make it not necessarily get a better time, but just sort of like feel more comfortable doing these events and doing, things and
right now,
stuff like that. And, like the last month, I thought, well, I was, when I was smashing my times, there wasn't so much of me as there is now. So I've tried to sort of like cut down a little bit and try to, I'm not drinking much anymore. I'm trying to eat properly. And in the run up to Christmas this year, it's been pretty successful. So I'm hoping to build on that in the new year. And that'll help my enjoyment levels and perhaps my performance as well.
Good for you. I'm going to rate you all out of 10.
Okay.
Listening to all that, I'm going to give. This is going to be really annoying, but I'm going to give Toba 10 because, which might surprise some of you, because to pull 3:46 on a short course out of his rear end, right? I genuinely was emotional when I found out, watched the video, when I found out what he'd done. That was an incredible effort from the boy. It hurts me to say it. No, it doesn't. But seriously, that is mental resolve to be able to do that. And the annoying thing is he could have gone faster because when I edited the videos, there was parts of it where he was just flying along and he looked like he didn't have a care in the world. So he could have gone faster. So annoyingly, 10 out of 10. Yes, Admin?
One of my favourite things of this year, my favourite moments, which nobody else was seeing, because those of us that know Toby know that he doesn't really show any emotion. And I was lucky enough to see him come over the line in Amsterdam. And I saw him walking around the track, obviously, and I called him. And when I saw him, the moment where he realised and he looked at his watch and just this joy on his face, and I couldn't get it on the camera because I was too far away. But genuinely, seeing your friend that happy in that moment is probably hands down one of my favourite things this year.
Yeah, I've got 100%. It's a polar image. It's polarizing to when he fell over the railings at the Winter 10K in front of that tramp, and the tramp hammered him. It was like the other end of the spectrum of when he was trying to impress that girl, jumped over the barrier, fell flat on his face, and then tried to style it out, even though he had claret all running down him. And the tramp went, oh, that must have hurt. Hammered the geezer. So it's 2 ends of the spectrum. But yeah, I would give. I had to get into hope. There were some other classics you've done this year, but that's probably one of the highlights. Although when we broke him at the Stansted run, when in the back of the car, when he did look like he was going to be sick, and then when we left him at Simon's, I went back to my house, showered, changed, had some lunch, came back because Daisy was getting her ears pierced, and he was still sitting in the same position, in the same clothes, with the same look on his face about 3 hours later because he still hadn't recovered. Get another highlight of the year.
But Ralphie wanted to play the whole time.
Yeah, Ralphie wanted to hit him with a Nerf gun, and Toby's just sitting there wanting to die. I would give. We'll go around that way. Admin, I'll give you 10 out of 10 because, like you said, you smashed every single goal you've done, and you would have done sub 2, 100%. You're just unlucky on the day, but 10 out of 10 for you, especially with the light summer you had. Basically, did nothing. but I would give you 10 out of 10 because you did. It's proofs on the pudding in terms of your times, and I know you do look at them, and you look at what others are doing. Wilco, I would give you. I would say 6 out of 10 because it's 60%, but I think I'll give you a 10 because I tell you why. To do from where you've come to do 2 marathon blocks is hard. So to go from, I think, doing 1 marathon block, right, is hard enough. But then to step up to next level's a bit unfair, but to go up a notch because you want to do, and to be able to do them well mentally, I think you've done the right thing by not looking for a time in Dublin and just getting it done. I think that deserves a 10 out of 10. I'm going to give Al 11 out of 10 because I think to be gone through what he's gone through challenge-wise, we know what you've had to deal with, Al, this year in terms of, your break and everything like that. And to be able to come back from that, and I believe stronger from that, deserves probably more than 11 out of 10, I would say. Forget the running because that's not really important, but that was one of the things that's helped you get back from where you were. So I think that deserves a huge amount of credit to you. Hayden, I'm going to give you a 10 as well for your Edinburgh performance, I would say, because I tell you what, you was flying, wasn't he? I mean, we all saw you. I think I was walking at the time. You just laughed at me, but you was absolutely. You came round that corner out of that horrible bit that we've been at that house.
Yeah.
And he was. I mean, I've never seen someone loving life apart from Tobe when when he's got his tripod on. But he was just zooming out of that house, and he was that 40, like had smoke coming off his shoes, and to go good for age. Especially, at his age, and I joke about, but it's hard to put a good for age time down. I tell you what, that is bloody hard. So I think, 10 out of 10 running wise, I'm going to give you all 100 out of 10 for everything you've done for 40 runs this year. Satellite clubs, this part of the community, part of the club, support for me, everything in general. I think you all deserve a big pat on the back because I think what we've done is incredible in terms of where we've taken 40 runs and the ethos. And what Al said was brilliant about the park run, about meeting people and then converting them into these nutters that turn up. Like we had just this week at London, lady who saw us at Clapham came along to the London Satellite Group. Incredible the work that admin does with the kids and the ladies, and Tobe and the support as well. It's really annoying that Tobe does these amazing kids sessions. Right, you will not believe it, right? But he does. The kids absolutely love his sessions on a Tuesday. It's so annoying because we go to him. So that's never going to work, right? And you look, and you've got 25 kids who are like 8 years old, and they're just loving life, running around, and it's all down to him. It's so frustrating that he does it so well. So again, I think all of you deserve credit this year for what you've achieved. Not just with your running, but outside of that as well. So you should give yourselves a pat back and look back. Honestly, I say it to my runners. Look back at what you've achieved, but not just in your running. Yeah, everything is sort of connected around it because you guys have done incredible things this year. Really, not just with your times and all this sort of stuff. Again, what you asked me, Wilco, is how you quantify or how what you look at in terms of achievements. But I think you've got to look outside of that. What you've achieved. This is the second biggest podcast in the UK every week in the charts. How is that humanly possible, right? If you think about it, we are not a media company. We don't go into a studio to film this. We don't have scripts. We don't have the best technology in the world. We have no idea most weeks what we're going to talk about. Yet we turn up every week, you guys, and we somehow put this show together that's connected with everyday runners like everything 40 Runs has done. And we pulled these together. And we're going up the charts in America. It's mental that we do this, that we've got so far, but it's a testament to you guys on how relatable everything that we talk about on this show is. And again, you've got to give yourself credit. You've got to, because if you don't, then I'm going to come around and I'm going to make you listen to some of my country music.
Oh, geez, we don't want that.
Which you don't want.
No, that would be a bit of a mare, wouldn't it? I mean, yeah, it is phenomenal when you think that we're going to, in 3 weeks' time, we're going to be at the NEC in Birmingham on a stage.
I know.
doing this live. in
Who's
front of
bricking it?
people.
Anyone bricking it? No one got
Nah.
nervous yet?
It's going to be great.
Tobe's nervous because if it all fails, all the technology, it's his fault.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's the thing.
Nah,
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
I'm nervous for Tobe.
I'm nervous for Tobe.
Don't worry about it. It'll be fun. You just have to shout.
I was just about to say, I've actually got a question for you all, looking back at the year then. Why don't we go around and say, what's been your favourite race or favourite event this year?
Shall I go first?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, I've done 2 marathons, but I just keep going back to the Great North Run all the time. You know, it's just such a. It was a very different Great North Run this year because it was about a week after the Queen died, and you know, there was even doubt right up until the weekend whether it would actually be on or not. And going to Newcastle the year before and running a different course and coming back into Newcastle and doing a different thing, it was like we were all back. And I went with a couple of my mates who had not done it before, and we ran together. It's the first time I'd ever run a race just with other people rather than just sort of like seeing them at the start and going off. And we had a great get together. We saw loads of people afterwards. Big crowd of us went from Hertford, and we had a wonderful time. I got the coronavirus, but that was the only minus thing. So I would still say, despite being laid up with COVID afterwards, Great North Run for me.
Okay, Tobe?
It's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, I think obviously Amsterdam's got to be up there for me just because of how it went. But I don't know, there's been so many races. I was literally there just trying to think back, and I can't remember most of them. But it's just, I've done a few. In some of them I've gone for, but I've enjoyed the ones just sitting back as well and just having fun and running around with a camera and just taking random shots. It's just such a different experience, and you see it all from a different way. And sometimes it's just like
He doesn't have a choice with the 3 meter pole.
The pole.
The 3 meter pole.
Did you let Heathrow know we're coming?
3 meter pole. It's brilliant.
But yeah, just going around there and just seeing so many people, I think is a highlight, you know.
Admin?
Favourite event, landmarks for me this year.
You smashed that.
I loved it. I think it was. Look, we're so lucky, right? London's on our doorstep. It's our local run, which is mad for people all over the world and even in this country. But it was a brilliant event, a brilliant course. I know lots of people don't like it, but I had a great run, and I just thought the event was brilliant, well organised. Just that's the one that I look back and think, what would I really want to do again? And that's the one that I'd go back. I've not been lucky enough yet to do Great North, so it might change when I've done that. But for me, landmarks is the one.
Al?
Before I answer you, Hayden, I just want to come back on something Chris has said in terms of the praise he's put on us. And Chris, just remember, we're lucky enough to have this platform to kind of talk about what we do. But for every one of us, there's another 10, 15 people working just as hard to make this community. And we literally could spend a whole hour just reading out the names of everyone that's made FORDY Runs such a success in 2022 even. So I just want that kind of noted for the record, that there's just there's a lot of people that work really hard to make every weekend and every race a real experience. But coming back to your, Hayden, mine's a park race. So I'd have to choose park run because I've just gone on about it so much. But it was actually Dublin where we kind of started the whole extreme park run concept. And it's not because it was a crazy day. And we've got loads of crazy days planned, and it's great that people come up to us and say, what's next, before we've even finished this one. It's just that friendships were made that day because of what we were able to bring together. So the running, I kind of say the running on a day like that is incidental to creating friendships and having experiences. So I'm going to go with Dublin because it was our first extreme park run. The first of many, I hope.
So go on, Fordy. Let's have it.
What?
Go easy. Go on, your favourite one, not your least favourite one.
Least favourite. I'll tell you the funniest one was when Admin and finished a big half and then absolutely destroyed it in the post-run credits. And Si's walking around in his pants in the middle of London, and she's giving it a 2-footed challenge about how rubbish it was. It was hilarious. The thing is, it's difficult for me, right? Because we do a lot of crazy stuff with the YouTube channel, with the challenges and things like that. But so I'll put them to one side because we have a lot, I have a lot of fun with some of the stuff we do, especially if it involves Toby doing stupid stuff. Like I take him to an island and make him run around it, even though he had no idea where we was going. Brilliant. Especially when we got to the end, Toby, and there was a hole in the middle of the wall.
It was, but we didn't run around the whole island because you took a shortcut. So technically, you haven't done it.
I took about 100-meter shortcut, right? And he says I cheated. But I think in terms of races, there's been some poor ones this year.
It's your favourite, a good one, just one.
I would say on a personal note, yeah, let's do it on a personal note. I've obviously got, there's very good race out there. London Landmarks is a good shout out. I think on a personal note, which might surprise you, is Edinburgh. Because I don't know if you saw the video, how emotional I was in that one. I think that meant a lot because genuinely with the what's the hanging over my head at the start of the year, what I had thrown my way in terms of, curveball, to then go through that surgery and that could be all clear and stuff like that, and then be able to go back and run Edinburgh was quite emotional. I didn't have a good race, but that wasn't important for me. It was more about just being back at it. And I think sometimes you learn a lot from those bad events as well. I would say it definitely refocused me in terms of my running of marathons. I think I said it on here. Is it on here? I forget where I talk now. I talk so much rubbish. But about that, I look at marathons now less of going for times. It's more about, for me, having enjoyment and fun at them. I'm really not got much interest in pushing myself to the point about worrying about times anymore. After what I went through. So yeah, I think Edinburgh was a good test of character and a good test of myself. So even though the event itself is terrible and I would not advise anybody to do it, it's rubbish. It's not flat, it's not fast, it's a pain in the bum to get to. It's over the top in terms of price. The medal's pony, the finish is pony. The way to get back from there is an absolute disgrace. I would say that I enjoyed the personal challenge of completing it and the emotional roller coaster that provided. I did have a lot of fun, probably too much, in Amsterdam, until the point that Simon said he needed a lay down. Then I got a bit serious because I thought he was in trouble. But I enjoyed going away with the guys, and that weekend that was good fun. Yeah, that's probably it. There's loads. I mean, I really enjoyed. I just enjoy. I enjoy a lot of stuff. I enjoy going to the park run. As long as I like going to a park. Like when Sabrina surprised me with my girls coming down for my 50th. That's the sort of thing that makes me tick. I couldn't, or I see, or I go come see you, Hayden, at your 100. That's the sort of shit that I shouldn't say it, but that's what gets me excited. I couldn't really give two hoops about London Marathon and all this sort. Maybe because I'm blasé and I've done it, but that's probably a cocky thing to say. But I generally get more excitement out of going and running with you guys, and I'd happily run down Southend Seafront with you. Like, I'd probably have more fun than going to one of these big events or something like that. Yeah, that's probably.
Hayden, what was yours?
Obviously, it'd be easy for me to say because of the performance. Same like Toby said about Amsterdam. For me to say Edinburgh because it was a great marathon PB for me, and I enjoyed the course. It was away for the weekend, but I know it's really sort of like ducking out a bit, but I honestly find it too hard to pick one this year. So the only thing I can think of is if I put it in the hands of our rating runs expert, Mr. Simon. He come. You were not. Do you remember? He gave one race. I was there, and he gave it 9 out of 10.
Which was that?
Do you remember what it was?
No.
Great North Run. He said, "Do you know what? 9 out of 10.
yeah.
I actually think he might have upgraded to a 10 and said I'll definitely come back." So I'll go with Simon. I'll go Great North because I do like it. Great.
You know the other thing about Great North though? Their medium is a proper medium t-shirt.
Oh,
Not like Amsterdam. They got the sizing bang on.
yeah. It's just relentless.
There's one more experience that I'd like to tell as well. Sabrina mentioned the landmarks. I didn't get a place in landmarks this year, so I joined the team of volunteers, the army of volunteers. At the finish line, we were dishing out finishers' bags and medals and stuff. Loads of FORDY'S. Mel and Paul had sort of helped organise everything, and there were hordes of us. And I got the same. It was a bit weird, really, because I felt like I should have packed my kit in case somebody said, "Oh, I've dropped out," so I could, a bit like, when you used to turn up to watch some Sunday football and they say, "Oh, have you got your boots?" I've only got, we've only got 10. But yeah, it was great. Really good experience. I had a great time. And it's sort of like, it just became part of sort of like becoming more involved in the community and meeting more and more people. I feel one of the strangest things, I mean, it sounds blasé that, but being recognised is a bit, that's, people coming up to you and say,
"Recognised by who? By who?"
People do. People come up. That's weird. That's been
What do you
strange.
mean people recognise you, Wilco? To elaborate. This is quality. Go.
They do. When people meet and say, "Oh yeah, I've got to have a picture with you." Me? Why?
That's brilliant. The 60% runner. He's
I'm not
famous.
David Beckham.
Global phenomenon. Actually, you said something important there. Sorry, Wilco, I hammered you.
I don't care.
We are very lucky to have Mel, Kate, Paula to organise these volunteer squad, because I don't. We're quite not blasé about it, but there's other Facebook groups out there and all this sort of stuff. I don't think they get the sort of opportunities that the ladies have given us through the amazing work they do with the volunteer work. You can be some part of some Facebook group and whatever, and that's great. But within what we've built into the 40 Runs community and mindset and ethos is this opportunity to volunteer at stuff. Like Al said, park run the other day at Clapham. And that showed the strength of the community. But at these big events, we're sending volunteer teams to the London Marathon, which is the pinnacle race in the calendar. Those ladies have organised teams to go and represent 40 Runs at that. And that, for me, blows my mind, right? I'll never forget, there was a year I wasn't able to run the big half because I was injured. And I was watching at the start, and there was all our volunteers just marching these elite runners down to the start. It was quality. And they all had their 40 Runs leggings on, and you could see them a mile off. And that's one of the things that come out of 40 Runs. So it's about everything. It's all the different things. And I sometimes I have to stop and say to myself, Jesus, this is unbelievable, because, as I say, people, there's people out there who hate us and whatever. But I think if you stop and realise what people bring into that community selfishly in their own time, and what other people are able to take out of it is unbelievable, really. It really is. I don't see it in some of these other bigger Facebook groups and that. I don't see it. I'm sorry, I just don't. Like,
do you know what? Going back to your Clapham, sorry, mate. Going back to that Clapham scenario, I'm not sure if you was aware, that was only their sort of like, considering it's quite a big venue and everyone can get there, they haven't done that many park runs. And one of our 40s questioned them about it, and they said the reason is because a lot of the time there's too many good running clubs around there. Everyone wants to run. No one wants to volunteer and help. And that is the reason they can't put it on every single week. And every now they miss weeks because they just cannot get volunteers out, because the local people in the area, they don't want to help out. They find it really difficult. That everyone wants to go there and run a fast time, run as fast as they can. Whereas, as you said, that's just not the ethos that this whole thing.
We encourage it. We were encouraging people, if they couldn't run, and we always do. If you can't run, volunteer. I'll tell you, with the volley squads, if you can't do a race because unfortunately maybe it doesn't fit into your training schedule, or maybe unfortunately you're injured, we always push, and we ask. To say, the ladies, they do an incredible job of asking to see if there's volunteer opportunities at new races. Just think about it. We have teams of people at pretty much all the big events. It's mental if you think about it. It's crazy. And you know, the stuff we're doing in Newcastle with Start Fitness. We've got big plans in Newcastle for the new year. You know, those guys have been involved in 2 effectively photo shoots for 2 massive brands, right? In campaigns that brands have done with Start Fitness and our local satellite clubs. Again, people, this is started from a Facebook group and a geezer on YouTube who was cocking about with a camera. And just think about it. It's mental. People listen to this in Peru. Honestly, just stop and think about it, guys. Just stop and think what we actually do. And when there's all these haters out there and these jealous people and they're attacking, you know, for whatever reason, just stop and you say, just stop and realize what actually we're doing positively for within the running community, whether that's for you or not. But it's up to you whether you soak it up or not. But just think about it for a second, right? And we're connecting runners up, people who may be running solo, you know, or they're local, whatever. They want that affiliation, they don't, or they want to be on a Facebook, or they want that support within there. You guys are bringing that all to. It's crazy, and what's amazing is to see that the ethos remains, of what we stand for, and as you said, Al, with the volunteer squad and the people like the admin people who monitor and police the Facebook group, they do an incredible job because there's always people trying to spam it or, you know, and whatnot. And it's a hard job to do, you know. One of your friends has put a post up and it's a little bit strong and you've got to do something about it. You know, that's a hard job. And these people do it out of their own thing. Or you've got people who are like part of the committee of the club and, you know, or run a satellite group or whatever, or, you know, whatever they do to keep this big ship that we're all on cruising along, bringing everyday runners together as we navigate the seas. It's amazing, really. It really is. And 2023, I can't wait to see what happens in 2023. I'm really, really hopeful that we continue and ride this crest of momentum that we're on, that we're creating.
And we're going to talk about that next week. We're going to look forward. Yeah, it will be next week. Well, next week it will be out next week from when this is out.
Oh, I'm confused.
But now it's going to be.
You'll have to do it out, Wilco.
Well, I'll just rock up at 7 o'clock on a Friday, mate, and see what happens. You know,
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Good plan.
So thank you ever so much, everybody, for all your support in 2022. I hope that you've realised your hopes and it's gone well for you. And if it hasn't, then you've been able to learn things that can help in the future. Remember, please, that usually we're live on Facebook and YouTube at 7 o'clock on Friday. You'll find us there. Or if you can't make us and join us live, then you can download us as a podcast on your preferred podcast provider of choice. So whether that's Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all those sort of people, you'll find us on there. Please give us a review. If you've got any questions, contact. Head to the website, fordyruns.com/longrun, and drop a comment in the box and we'll pick that up. Or you can see us also in the 40 Runs running community on Facebook. Join a group and make some friends. Thanks ever so much, everybody, for your help. We shall see you next week. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.